to run this blockchain. So I have a list of them. Of course, I throw in some of the people I'm associated with in the end. So Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Tether, Zcash, kind of a cool one I like. When you start thinking about currency, then you can start going one step further and thinking, well, why is it that these little digital widgets on the blockchain are the only thing that you can track? Why don't you start thinking of other things as an asset and as currency? Why can't you take assets themselves, split them apart, and say, I have 100% of this asset, but I want to fractionalize it and use that almost as a currency in itself? So you'll hear people saying things like securitized tokens, asset-backed tokens, and there's a bit of a difference. You hear a token that is, say, dollar-backed. Well, people are trading the token, and yes, it's dollar-backed, but essentially people think of values of the token. When you think of a fractionalization of an asset, the token itself really only represents the actual percentage of the asset. The token itself doesn't necessarily have any value. It is simply a representation of the thing that actually does have value. It's a digital contract that says I own 1% of a real asset. And so I sometimes try to get people's minds separated from a tokenized asset, where it also implies that the token is what the asset is, to a fractional asset where the token only represents real ownership in an asset itself. It's a little bit of a different mindset when it comes to fractionalizing an asset. I told you earlier that we talked about smart contracts very quickly. Smart contracts are literally digital automated escrow. Right now, when people when they ask why blockchain, why crypto, it's oftentimes because we're trying to fix an inefficiency with some sort of efficiency. One of the major inefficiencies of the world is title, escrow, all the processes that make transactions actually happen in a trust, in a society that needs some form of trust. So you take, in a traditional escrow arrangement, somebody takes the asset, somebody takes the payment, and they say, I'll charge you 5% to do the swap. That's what your escrow company essentially does. In this case, you can do a digital escrow where there's no middleman, no person, no company, and you can do a swap immediately through a smart contract. Another thing that tokens are being used for is fundraising. This is where you start getting into a tricky situation on what actually fundraising is. Are you doing a security? Are you doing a utility token? Are you doing an asset-backed token? There's a whole litany of different examples, but these are the main ones. And you better get it right, because these guys are going to come knocking on your door if you don't. And what we see is a lot of people, companies in 2017, kind of like the Wild West of fundraising, where they said, well, we're just going to raise a bunch of money, we'll figure it out later. And some of them hopefully come out okay, but a lot of them either aren't pure scams, or they'll end up being a complete loss for investors, because one, the project was never fully established in the first place, and two, they didn't go through the proper rules in which they established what they thought was a utility token. Very, very briefly, one of the key elements of establishing a utility token is that you have to